Greetings, welcome to Dorsey's Resource, back for another session. The topic of this video is going to be why I posted a photo of my trophy and a picture of my surprise thank you graduation card from my 2002 graduation at Davenport University. I just wanted to kind of give an update, short update, why I posted on some of my social media. I meant some of my other platforms I have. I just posted it to few platforms so far, but I am probably going to post some more. And I just wanted to kind of clarify the reason I did that, to let my subscribers know, is that because of what I wanted to kind of give inspiration, motivation to myself, and kind of share. I was having a conversation with a friend of mine a while ago, and he stated he was actually inspired by some of the stories I shared, how I deal with pain, not just heartbreak, but how I motivate myself, how I keep myself grounded, how I draw inspiration from things. And what I learned from my mentor in martial arts is how to also use that energy and redirect it in a positive manner, in a positive way. So part of having memories and reminiscing is not that you hold on to the past, as some would say. You can look at things from a negative or positive aspect. It's also how you can use the past or things that you accomplished, achievements, I draw back on as motivation, discipline, inspiration, and grind to accomplish goals and goals that I set out. But the story, I wanted to kind of tell the story behind each one of those experiences. I'm not going to probably be before you guys that long. I just wanted to kind of give you guys a heads up. But to some people, I guess it inspires them. So I eventually decided to post them. Not too long ago, I was doing some cleaning, rearranging things from when I moved last year and unpacking a lot of my books. And I came across things that I kept that have sentimental value to me. And I've heard people discuss this. Something that could be sentimental value could be a gift from a relative, a grandmother, a grandfather, a mother who passed away. This is why people oftentimes, if a relative or close family member or even a friend, if somebody has been cremated, they keep their urns, for example, or something that they gave them that they would never sell because it has sentimental value. Well, these things I held on to because they gave me inspiration and motivation. First of all, the graduation card, if you look at it, study it, take a look at it if you haven't. It speaks to my overall true character, what other people said about me. These are from actual people that worked with me years ago when I was a college work-study student at Davenport University, previously Detroit College of Business, more specifically at the Dearborn campus that was on Oakland Boulevard right off Michigan Avenue. That campus moved to Livonia, which is now, if they're still at the Livonia campus, I'm not sure. I haven't really kept up with Davenport. I had an alumni card. I used to go back up to their Warren campus on DeQuinder, but it's been a number of years since I've been up there and at that particular location. I did visit the Livonia campus one time years ago, by the way, after, of course, this well after I had graduated. And I only got my associate's degree. I took credits towards my bachelor's, but that's a whole nother story why I didn't finish on my undergrad degree. But it's still an accomplishment. Several friends of mine told me they were proud of me at the time and said, hey, you can use that degree. I've actually been told in certain professions, certain careers, you can still use that to get an advantage in certain regards. I won't go into details. That's neither here nor there. But my department I worked in at the time, I didn't know that this was going to happen. I had a supervisor who helped me out after I was the last person. I was involved in a house fire years ago. And along with my martial arts instructor at the time, They both happen to ironically stay in Belleville, Michigan, where ironically the pastor of the church that my mother was attending at the time had service out of his home, had like a miniature mansion, you could say, before they started worshiping services at Presbyterian Church, I believe it was, off of Belleville Road or not too far from there. He stayed at Monterey Estates. I remember specifically years ago. It was an honorable thing. He didn't have to do this. He took my family in. I was the oldest child at the time. I was still in college, by the way, and I actually had enrolled in these martial arts classes at the time on my own. I paid for it, with the little bit of money that I made from my job working at the school at the time. And I actually knew the head instructor, Richard Morrissey, personally, by the way. And I even got, learned a lot more. A lot of martial arts instructors, coaches, teachers happen to be great mentors. He was actually my first instructor before I started studying under a sensei privately. But I won't, I'll try to stick to the main meat and potatoes, the main story. But when I go through situations when life sometimes, throws curveballs at you, or people go through tough experiences, I use these accomplishments, achievements, just me personally, as motivation. I also listen to music. Music is another form of motivation. I also found out in Detroit, from watching Channel 4 News, I found out there's actually some like activist or nonprofit organization that uses music and other means to heal people. They have like a organization that helps men, and they do something else. I can't really remember. I have to go back and try to see if I can find a video. But I thought it was just very inspiring and confirmation how people can use music to heal or for motivation or inspiration. So these are some of the things that I draw my energy off of. And these are the things that help me out with recent, you could say, heartbreak or catching feelings for someone, an infatuation I had, and also reflecting and to figure out what happened with that situation. I also watch spirituality videos from particular people, but one lady in particular. I think her name is Jahina. She has like over 200,000 subscribers. Her channel is growing. It's blowing up big time. And she's just so phenomenal where she does these readings, and it's like the spirituality. Then she has some things dealing with the church as well, religion. I get into both aspects, obviously, but they were very inspirational, and a lot of people comment, and I just couldn't believe when I first discovered a couple of her videos, and some in particular, how accurate they were applying in my situation specifically. I can't speak for everybody else, but I did see comments from other people that said, I guess whatever there was going on in their universe or their unique world, the circumstance, the overview that she gave from the particular readings, I don't know how she does what she does, but like she put in the comment section prophetic word, just like women who do tarot readings and things of that sort. And some people, and get into that. I focus on the positive aspect of things. I was having a conversation because some people very religious where they say, oh, you have to be careful. You don't get into divination and stuff like that. I do get where they're coming from. But at the same time, my barber years ago understood when I brought up how some people used to try to say, well, martial arts is of the devil, or astrology gets into, soothsayers, stuff like that. And the Bible speaks against it. And there's one group that actually tackles destructive theologies called the faith community. Someone hit me to them. I do watch some of their videos from time to time. I don't necessarily co-sign the ideology of the pastor over that organization, but I do get where they're coming from. I have my own unique flavor rebuttal, but that's neither here nor there for the time being. But as an example, I was having a conversation some years ago. My barber understood. He said, there's a negative and there's a positive to everything, a positive aspect. And it could be how you look at things and how we draw energy and how we deal with situations. You know, some my mentor taught me years ago. There's ways to solve a problem. You can either one run from the problem, you'll just be running from it. Deal with the problem, you'll just be dealing with it. You'll be stressed out. You'll be going through it, or you can solve the problem. You know, and us guys, men, in our genetic makeup, our nature, we love to solve things, fix things. By the way, I believe, me personally, men and women, we're genetically hardwired differently. But my mentor has another take. I also see where he's coming from, where he sees us as the same. I can see that aspect too, that men and women are different. But I think, from what I study in dating psychology, there's still the way she thinks. I'm learning because the situation I went through caused me to learn and learn more about the opposite sex, you'll say, and about women. And I think just personally, they're hardwired differently than we men are. Both of us are not. I think the way we deal with things is not the same. I know women are more, like they say, men are more visual, women are definitely more emotional. By the way, they don't see things as logical as us guys do. I've even heard years ago when me and my friend we met, who I was inspired by, Bria Wood and Lydia McCarty at the time. They were into spirituality. I didn't understand at the time how women were into, like, there was a separate aspect of religion, not just so-called religion, but spirituality. And they were very spiritual, kind of like the people that listen, how Oprah had these friends like Deepak Chopra, the people that did the book The Secret, and some of these other people, the lady that wrote the song for Michael Jackson. I get into stuff like that. I do. As I started to understand years ago, I didn't know too much about the spirituality movement, but I consider myself spiritual, but not religious. Religion is, like I said, that's a whole nother conversation within itself, by the way. But the reason I'm sharing this story is I posted those pictures on my different social media accounts. I'm going to post it on some others down the road. I also have a card some years ago, additional, like a thank you card that the church did at the time. They were called Jehovah Jireh Ministries, Jehovah Jireh, under Pastor Rodney Parnell at the time. They had given me a thank you card. Were members of the church. I still have it to this day. I scanned it, and not too long ago, when I found the card and another card, I looked at it, and it invoked very strong, powerful memories as well. While we hold on to things like that, also have sentimental value, but it gave me a lot of inspiration in a positive way, by the way. Even though I was emotional at the time about it, and I've held on, knew where they were at for years, but since I moved, I packed them away, and I said I wanted to kind of archive this and go back and read, because I remember back then I didn't fully read what people had said on the cards. People I work with in my department for my graduation card, and then some people from the church that I remember from years ago. Some people's handwriting I didn't really recognize, but they had positive things to say. They were people that knew who I was. They went to church with me. Obviously, Pastor Parnell, I didn't finish telling the story. He took me and my family in after the house fire. I was the oldest child. My father was no longer in the scene, my biological father. I was in college at the time. It's a very honorable thing. After I was the last person to make it out the house in November of 2001, by the way. And that was around the particular time period. And going into 2002, by the way, that graduation card is from 2002. And the only reason I found out the date from the card, that the thank you card, or actually birthday card, that the church members had signed on my behalf, that was very motivational, inspirational. When I go back and look at it, but I'll probably post that maybe down the road. Not sure exactly when, but someone had actually put the date in there. That was my birthday, 2003, and I think that was around the time that I had actually moved out from my mom, because the situation uh, that I was in, that's probably a whole nother story. By the way, I'll say that maybe for later, for another time, but the reason I posted those is to let those know out there, you don't need to be worried about me, concerned. I let my cousin know when I sought out advice from him, for example, or for my friend. I want to thank my mentor in case he's watching. He is subscribed to my channel, has been for a number of years. And I want to thank him, by the way, for all the advice that he's given me throughout the years that has helped me out tremendously, and the different situations that I've come across or dealt with. By the way, it's an inspiration to have people like that in your corner. By the way, and I was having a discussion with recently. When I speak to him, he puts things in a perspective that are very concise, and it's like easier for me to comprehend and understand, because older people have a lot of wisdom as well. A lot of people nowadays, a lot of young people, I think, are not as humble. I was having a conversation with a separate friend earlier who's married, who we were discussing music. And I say a lot of the newer generation, unlike the older generation of music artists or older rappers, the newer rappers, newer artists, I noticed they have a tendency to not be into multiple genres of music, or they don't pay homage to like the gospel artists, the Christian artists, the jazz, reggae, rock, people from the old school, a lot of the people that paved the way. I was explaining to my buddy when I was part of the music group years ago, my buddy who was part of the group, he got into other genres of music. He's also does promotional work. I think he still does that, and other things. He's worked campaigns before, which gets into that whole marketing, public relations career field, by the way. And I learned things from him, but I just noticed that, just from my opinion, that from noticing music artists today compared to artists of yesteryears, seems like they were more humble. They paid homage and gave respect to a lot of the older artists that paved the way, that made it possible. And I was explaining to a friend of mine why I'm humble and I have humility and empathy for the people that went through the struggle. Also, I came across an article I didn't know, that Aretha Franklin years ago had went to a mosque to back up when she saw, I think, a news story, something that happened, protest years ago with Minister Farrakhan, because many people were asking why was she at her funeral. They didn't know Aretha was part of the struggle years ago. She was a music artist, very popular music artist, and I didn't really know that. I kind of pieced together some things that she was kind of part of, like the modern day Underground Railroad for her time period moving forward, and she gave a lot. And this article I read was on Facebook, another account that I have, and I shared it, and I thought it was inspirational. And I said, wow, I didn't know Aretha. I knew she was part of the struggle, and I heard there was something that she did, but this article actually explained it. So just giving an example, I draw inspiration from past experiences, things that have that whole sentimental value. And, I just wanted to share that with you guys. Maybe it can inspire some. If they're dealing with situations, it can help you redirect that feeling, because pain is weakness leaving the body. I'm not afraid to deal with pain or go with heartbreak. Pain was actually part of my training too in martial arts. When I started training under my sensei privately, where his training was more intense, vigorous, because of the advanced arts that he was teaching me, and the how precise and accurate that it had to be. It was equivalent, I wouldn't even say of the Navy SEALs, but of the top tier elite special forces, the Delta Force training. When you go through something where you have to be very disciplined, and the reason I compare it to the Delta Force training compared to the Navy SEALs, at least with with when Navy SEALs go through training, they have to pass something called Hell Week, where they have all these different endurance exercises and challenges, mental toughness they have to display, but they have other people around despite they have to pass as well. But one top tier operator was explaining the difference between Delta Force and the Navy SEAL, which separates the Delta Force. And I agree, which is a top tier hidden. They're under a different name now. It's one of the top, and that's no disrespect because you also have another top tier section of the Navy SEALs called SEAL Team 6, by the way, which is like the best of the best. That's like chosen similar to the Dream Team in basketball. They're not only all-stars, but the best of the best all-stars where you get into the Dream Team. That's like the top tier. So, but I think Delta Force, I gained more when I got a better understanding. I gained more of a respect because the operator was explaining. I was watching an interview. He stated he was one of the youngest guys to make it through, and they have to do what's called a 40-mile ruck. And he said, you're by yourself. You don't have anybody else to motivate you when you ask the instructors questions. They'll just give you something basic or just say, try the best that you can or just figure it out. You don't have other people on your with you. And the challenges are tough. They only take the top 1%. There's a lot of other, mind you, by the time you get to this level, there's other special forces guys that try out for the Delta Force and don't make it because they only take the top 1%. Meaning you have to be the best of the best of the best of the best to make it through. And that's why I respect the Deltas. I have a lot of respect for the Green Berets as well for what they do. They also have different jobs and understanding, but I see, in my opinion, I've gained a newfound respect for the Deltas, by the way, as I got a better understanding of what they have to go through. And that's the equivalent when I compare when I study dating psychology and how I deal with situations compared to other guys or other people. I'm sharing some of my secrets, by the way, how I was able to heal up. But this spirituality, this lady who she has a YouTube channel. I think she goes by the name Jahina. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but I was just so shocked how she was highly accurate. And I commented under my burner account that I have because I was locked out of course, this particular YouTube channel. So I have to use what I call my burner account because I don't have access to this channel's back office anymore. The only reason I can do videos because of the StreamYard software allows me to access this part, but my other smaller channel, which controlled this channel, was taken down, and that's why I cannot access the back office of this bigger channel. But I still do videos over here because I have over 8,000 subscribers, and people were still subscribing as of like a year ago. But I tell you guys, go to my new channel, which is at Dorsey's Resource 873. Just be on standby over there, even though I have content down the road for you guys. I'll let you know. But that's my newer channel is Dorsey's Resource 873. And I do have some good videos over there you want to check out that I did on silver. My journey on silver, precious metals. You need hard assets. And it's getting ready to explode with the prices very soon, by the way. I just gave you guys, actually it already has, but there's some other moves that are coming very, very soon. Similar concept to cryptocurrency. But silver, if you haven't done so, silver and gold, but silver, I'm more bullish on silver. But silver coins in particular is actually real money. It's tangible substance. Rest in peace to Pastor Lindsey Williams. He used to say silver is currency of the elite. Remember, if you know the story behind him, he, actually had elite friends who were movers and shakers of the world, of the markets and things over here in the States, especially. And he was given inside information by them. He was a chaplain at the Alaskan pipeline some years ago and tells his testimony before he passed away. Many stories. He's done many interviews. And he said, out of his own words, these are not my words, but he said, silver and gold is the currency of the elite. So these are people, men in the shadows. My friend calls them the shadow people. That's what my friend uses. But I call them members of the ruling class elite. They deal with real money and they hold the physical. There's nothing wrong with, in a sense, you play the paper market, but you have to be careful because of what's getting ready to happen with COMEX, the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, and the manipulation and the lawsuits and stuff. And the securities regulators said they can no longer, big banks and stuff that were spoofing the price, they're cracking down. So they're not going to always be able to continue to manipulate that price to suppress the price of silver and gold. And silver particularly has been suppressed a lot more than gold has. Those days are numbered. And thanks to Kirk Elliott, I've been keeping up with his interviews. Go to band.video, look up who Kirk Elliott is, does some wonderful interviews, very well studied, by the way. He can kind of give insight and explain if you have hard assets, tangible assets. But that's neither here nor there. I'm going to get ready to shut the video down, but I just wanted to kind of share with you all, this is story time in a way, my testimony, why I uploaded a photo of my martial arts trophy on my Twitter account, my Instagram profile, and one of my Facebook profiles, and I may upload it on some of my other social media accounts. But I use those to kind of just show, that's why I draw inspiration from. And that achievement keeps me grounded because it reminds me who I am, what I'm capable of. And the graduation card, if you look at it with the people in my department, these were people that worked with me every other day, every week for like over a year at Detroit College of Business, which eventually got bought out by Davenport University from around 2001 to 02. I can't remember specifically when I started working in that department. I worked in other departments at the school at the time. By the way, I also worked for a college instructor at one time, Jim Donovan. By the way, that was a separate job. But eventually I landed in what's called the Student Development Center, which got merged and turned into when they merged the financial aid office, the admissions office, and the Student Development Center. That's the department I worked in. It became the enrollment. And then things changed after I left. So I don't know exactly what happened. I did hear about the scandal that took place from some of my former fellow alumni, some years after I had left. Some type of scandal happened with financial aid, by the way, but that's neither here nor there. But I used to work at Davenport University. This was the campus off Michigan Avenue, Oakland Boulevard, in Dearborn, Michigan. At the time, it was since sold to some other group. I think an Arab community used it. They turned it into like their own school as their demographic was growing throughout that city, that municipality, that area. And that Davenport, the campus I was at, moved specifically to the Livonia campus. Once they left that particular campus, by the way, they went to the Livonia campus. But I used to work there. I even knew the first black president at the school, John Salmon. I knew a previous president, Dr. Mendola. He was cool. And I remember I got a chance to shake Fletchen's hand at my graduation. He was another big wig, one of the top people there at all of the campuses. You know, they have like a board of trustees. I would see some of those meetings when I worked at the school, the structure of how things work. I knew a lot of the deans and the fraternity that I didn't officially pledge for that looked out for me. By the way, the Phi Beta Sigmas, Richard G, big shout out to very cool brothers. I remember Jermaine. There were some other brothers that were part of the fraternity. I can't remember their name. I only remember Richard G and Jermaine and some of the others. They were real cool, good to me back then. By the way, just to kind of give a little background, I had some experiences there, by the way. But those are the things that I draw inspiration from and remind myself, if you're having a bad day, sometimes you can use these past experiences or things that have sentimental value in your life and know who you are at the end of the day. Don't quit. Don't give up. Keep going. And you can use these things as inspiration, motivation to achieve better, because your ladder will be greater. The best is yet to come. So I just want to leave you guys with that. That's why I posted. I have other inspirational posts just to kind of share that I reflect off of how I redirect energy and turn it into positive motivation and inspiration. Until next time, you guys have a good one. Not going to bore you all. Take care. Peace.